what's going on, y'all? Big Sarge, your host of the Sports Talk with Big Sarge show, Monday through Friday on YouTube, and co-host of the Locked On Texans podcast, available wherever you get your podcast from. All right, so October 31st, everyone knows what that day is, right? Everyone knows that that's Halloween, and on Halloween, people dress up in costumes, and they get to make believe like there's something else. I felt like that's what the Houston Texans did against the New York Jets right here in MetLife Stadium on primetime television as they lost 21-13. They dressed up like a football team. They were in an alternate reality like they were a football team. But when it was time to play football, they were nowhere to be seen. This game against the New York Jets, a team that was 2-6 and was 0-5, had a 5-game losing streak. 0-5 in their last 5 games. A 5-game losing streak. And the Houston Texans lost to them 21-13 in a game, even though they don't have wide receiver Nico Collins or Stephon Diggs. They lost Kenyon Green. Will Anderson Jr. got hurt. CJ even got hurt for a second. But they still should have won this game. They were the better team coming in at 6-2. You can never, ever, ever take a team for granted. You cannot take a team for granted, especially one who has Hall of Famers like quarterback Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. You cannot take them for granted. And I feel like what the Houston Texans did was they played down to their competition. In the first half, they looked amazing. Held Aaron Rodgers to 32 yards passing. And next thing you know, you look up, and now they can't stop anybody from doing anything on the offensive side of the ball for the New York Jets. Speaking of offense, listen. We've talked about this over and over and over again. Over and over and over again. We've talked about the inefficiencies of the offense. We've talked about how terrible that offensive line is. On last week, head coach D'Amico Ryans asked us to focus on the positive. But where's the positive, coach? Where's the positive when you come into MetLife Stadium and do the exact same thing that you did at NRG last week against the Indianapolis Colts? Where's the positives? When you're looking at an offensive line who is constantly putting their quarterback under pressure, getting him sacked. And listen, we've talked about this before. I think that C.J. Stroud is top 5, top 7 quarterback in the NFL, even in his second year. But there's only so many hits he can take. There's only so many times he can be flushed out of the pocket. And the amount of hits that he's taken over the weeks from the bad offensive line play, the amount of sacks he's taken, hits, pressures, he's starting to look jittery now. And when he starts to look jittery, he's missing passes. He's missing wide receivers that are wide open. And what do? I said this last week on the show. What happens when the defense can't save you? What happens when the defense can't save you? And they only gave up 21 points. They played a hell of a first half. And then the second half, you got a little windy, got a little tired, but they played one hell of a first half. And then in the second half, they're doing the best they can. But if the offense isn't producing, how long do you expect that defense to hold up? Yeah. It's not rocket science. Yeah. It's not. You have to get better. And I don't know, with the trade deadline coming up, I don't know what D'Amico Ryans and Nick Caserio are going to do as far as trying to get some offensive line help in here. But they need to do something. Because if not, you're going to have your quarterback for the rest of the year looking over his shoulder, getting happy feet, getting out of the pocket, and still not being effective. You cannot do that when you have so many primetime games, so many big games coming up. Yes, you have a lead in the AFC South right now. 9 times out of 10, you're going to win the AFC South. But what's going to happen when it's time to play playoff football again? You got to get this together. And the sad part about it is you have some good players on that offensive line. They just don't seem to know what to do. It looks like they're being out-schemed almost every play. So now what does that mean? That means that offensive line coach Chris Strasser has to do something. Oh, I thought my thing was about to fall over. Pause. Talking about my tripod. Chris Strasser has to do something. He has to do something, or D'Amico has to do something. He got to make a move. Something has to be shaken up and click. You can't just replace Kenyon Green with Kendrick Green. And look, heart goes out to Kenyon Green. According to sources, he suffered a dislocated shoulder here tonight, and he was taken out of the game in the second quarter. So, according to my sources, he suffered a dislocated shoulder, and I don't know how long he's going to be out. Well, I guess we'll get that confirmed when we talk to head coach D'Amico Ryans here in the near future. But they got to do something. Something has to give, or this team, you're going to turn around, you're going to look up, and they're going to go from being 6-3 to 8-6. This game was weird. Kaimi Fairbairn missed two field goals. The Jets player right here dropped the ball right before he got into the end zone. The Texans ran a wildcat play in the red zone. The only thing, there was only two positives coming out of this game. Joe Mixon rushed for 100 yards and a touchdown again. He's been the bright spot on the offensive side of the ball. Tank Dell, bright spot on the offensive side of the ball. And no matter what y'all want to say, wait a minute now, Sarge, look at that. You can't count because you said two things, now you're about to say three. My bad. Let's just call it 2A instead of calling it 3. The defense played well, but they can't keep saving the offense every game. It was the Detroit Lions coming into NRG, the best team in the NFL. If you don't get these problems together, I think the Detroit Lions blew out the Tennessee Titans by a score, was it 52-14? You're going to look the same way. You're going to get embarrassed at home on national television if you can't get this together. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel at Big Sarge Media. Follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Big Sarge Sports with a Z at the end. Follow me on the Tick and the Talk at Big Sarge Media. And, make sure you follow me on Instagram at Big Sarge Sports with a Z at the end. Because you know we do everything for the gram. And make sure you're locked in. You subscribe to the Locked On Texas podcast and to the Locked On Texas YouTube channel. All right, y'all. It's November 1st. Yeah. It's 1 a.m. here in the Meadowlands. And I got a 7 o'clock flight. I got to get up out of here. Big Sarge, I'm out.